Well, hey everybody, I'm Jack. Welcome to another episode of Raw Tropical Living. I appreciate you tuning in today. Hope everybody's weekend's going well. Hope everybody's having a good Saturday. I'm having a great Saturday. Let me tell you why I have a great day every day, why I'm always saying yes, it's a great day, because I start my day with meditation. I started this about 2 months ago. Well, not my meditation practice, but I finally switched it over and I started meditating first thing in the morning. And I always, maybe the most important part of the morning ritual is I finish my meditation with just a big thank you, with gratitude. I'm gonna tell you something right there. That practice of gratitude is one of the most powerful in the world. It's life changing. Not the food, not the movement, not any of that other stuff, the physical, but just simply the practice of gratitude will expand your life exponentially. Anyhow, today I want to talk to you about letting go, acceptance and peace, and no more drama. Doesn't that sound like a good life? Guys, I do videos every day, so if you haven't already done it, please go down there and hit that subscribe button now, and then just immediately go click on the little bell and check send notifications so you'll stay subscribed to the channel. I'm going to read to you again today from The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I'm getting towards the end of this one. In fact, who knows, I might get on a little reading spell this afternoon that might finish this one off. I've kind of been doing it on purpose, this is just such a wonderful book. Not that I won't reread it, but it's time to go ahead and finish this one because I have other books in the hopper. I have actually never read it, The Power of Attraction by Abraham Hicks, which I'm reading next. And then I've got the Wherever You Go, There You Are by John Kabat-Zinn. So I've got my reading taken care of. We're going to start here. Beyond happiness and unhappiness, there is peace, the higher good beyond good and bad, which will encompass all those ideas in the title. Is there a difference between happiness and inner peace? Yes, happiness depends on conditions being perceived as positive. Inner peace does not. Is it not possible to attract only positive conditions into our life? If our attitude and our thinking are always positive, we would manifest only positive events and situations, wouldn't we? Do you truly know what is positive and what is negative? Do you have the total picture? There have been many people for whom limitation, failure, loss, illness, or pain in whatever form turned out to be their greatest teacher. It taught them to let go of false self-images and superficial ego-dictated goals and desires. It gave them depth, humility, and compassion. It made them more real. Whenever anything negative happens to you, there is a deep lesson concealed within it, although you may not see it at the time. From a brief illness or even a brief illness or an accident can show you what is real and unreal in your life, what ultimately matters and what does not. Seen from a higher perspective, conditions are always positive. To be more precise, they are neither positive nor negative. They are as they are. And when you live in complete acceptance of what is, which is the only sane way to live, there is no good or bad in your life anymore. There is only a higher good, which includes the bad. Seen from the perspective of the mind, however, there is good, bad, like, dislike, love, hate. Hence, in the book of Genesis, it is said that Adam and Eve were no longer allowed to dwell in paradise when they ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This sounds to me like denial and self-deception. When something dreadful happens to me or someone close to me, accident, illness, pain, or some death, I can pretend that it isn't bad, but the fact remains that it is bad, so why deny it? You're not pretending anything. You are allowing it to be as it is, that's all. This allowing to be takes you beyond the mind with its resistance patterns that create the positive-negative polarities. It is an essential aspect of forgiveness. Forgiveness of the present is even more important than forgiveness of the past. If you forgive every moment, allow it to be as it is, then there will be no accumulation of resentment that needs to be forgiven at some later time. Remember that we are not talking about happiness here. For example, when a loved one has just died or you feel your own death approaching, you cannot be happy. It is impossible, but you can be at peace. There may be sadness and tears, but provided that you have relinquished resistance, underneath the sadness you will find a deep serenity, a stillness, a sacred presence. This is the emanation of being. This is inner peace, the good that has no opposite. What if it is a situation that I can do something about? How can I allow it to be and change it at the same time? Do what you have to do. In the meantime, accept what is. Since mind and resistance are synonymous, acceptance immediately frees you from mind dominance and thus reconnects you with being. As a result, the usual ego motivations for doing, fear, greed, control, defending, or feeding the false sense of self will cease to operate. An intelligence much greater than the mind is now in charge, and so a different quality of consciousness will flow into your doing. Accept whatever comes to you woven in the pattern of your destiny for what could more aptly fit your needs. This was written 2,000 years ago by Marcus Aurelius, one of those exceedingly rare humans who possessed worldly power as well as wisdom. It seems that most people need to experience a great deal of suffering before they will relinquish resistance and accept before they will forgive. As soon as they do, one of the greatest miracles happens. The awakening of being consciousness through what appears as evil, the transmutation of suffering into inner peace. That's a mouthful here. Let's read that one again. As soon as they do, one of the greatest miracles happenings, the awakening of being consciousness through what appears as evil, the transmutation of suffering into inner peace. The ultimate effect of all the evil and suffering in the world is that it will force humans into realizing who they are beyond name and form. Thus, what we perceive as evil from our limited perspective is actually part of the higher good that has no opposite. This, however, does not become true for you except through forgiveness. Until that happens, evil has not been redeemed and therefore remains evil. Through forgiveness, which essentially means recognizing the insubstantiality of the past and allowing the present moment to be as it is, the miracle of transformation happens not only within but also without. A silent space of intense presence arises both in you and around you. Whoever or whatever enters that field of consciousness will be affected by it, sometimes visibly and immediately, sometimes at deeper levels with visible changes appearing at a later time. You dissolve discord, heal pain, dispel unconsciousness without doing anything, simply by being and holding that frequency of intense present. The end of your life drama. In that state of acceptance and inner peace, even though you may not call it bad, can anything still come into your life that would be called bad from a perspective of ordinary consciousness? Most of the so-called bad things that happen in people's life are due to unconsciousness. They are self-created, or rather ego-created. I sometimes refer to those things as drama. When you are fully conscious, drama does not come into your life anymore. Let me remind you briefly how the ego operates and how it creates drama. Ego is the unobserved mind that runs your life when you are not present as the witnessing consciousness, the watcher. The ego perceives itself as a separate fragment in a hostile universe, with no real inner connection to any other being, surrounded by other egos which it either sees as a potential threat or which it will attempt to use for its own ends. The basic ego patterns are designed to combat its own deep-seated fear and sense of lack. They are resistance, control, power, greed, defense, attack. Some of the ego's strategies are extremely clever, yet they never truly solve any of its problems simply because the ego itself is the problem. When egos come together, whether in personal relationships or in organizations or institutions, bad things happen sooner or later. Drama of one kind or another, in the form of conflict, problems, power struggles, emotional or physical violence, and so on. This includes collective evils such as war, genocide, and exploitation, all due to masked unconsciousness. Furthermore, many types of illness are caused by the ego's continuous resistance, which creates restrictions and blockages in the flow of energy through the body. When you reconnect with being and are no longer run by your mind, you cease to create those things. You do not create or participate in drama anymore. Whenever two or more egos come together, drama of one kind or another ensues. But even if you live totally alone, you still create your own drama. When you feel sorry for yourself, that's drama. When you feel guilty or anxious, that's drama. When you let the past or future obscure the present, you are creating time, psychological time, the stuff out of which drama is made. Whenever you are not honoring the present moment by allowing it to be you, you're creating drama. Most people are in love with their particular life drama. Their story is their identity. The ego runs their life. They have their whole sense of self invested in it. Even their, usually unsuccessful, search for an answer, a solution, or for healing becomes part of it. What they fear and resist most is the end of their drama. As long as they are their mind, what they fear and resist most is their own awakening. When you live in complete acceptance of what is, that is the end of all drama in your life. Nobody can even have an argument with you, no matter how hard he or she tries. You cannot have an argument with a fully conscious person. An argument implies identification with your mind in a mental position, as well as resistance and reaction to the other person's position. The result is that the polar opposites become mutually energized. These are the mechanics of unconsciousness. You can still make your point clearly and firmly, but there will be no reactive force behind it, no defense or attack, so it won't turn into drama. When you are fully conscious, you cease to be in conflict. No one who is at one with himself can even conceive of conflict, states A Course in Miracles. This refers not only to conflict with other people, but more fundamentally to conflict within you, which ceases when there is no longer any clash between the demands and expectations of your mind and what it is. This is stuff that could take several lifetimes to work out, figure out. It's something I'm striving for almost every day. I try to let go. I'm constantly trying to let go of that ego, constantly trying to let go of that judgment, constantly trying to look past that whole idea of good and bad. And you know, some people won't quite get that. That's a little bit higher concept. You got to kind of step past your traditional way of looking at good and bad. It's not saying, I don't think it ever says that bad events, that there's not evil going on, but there's a lot of truth in life to acceptance. And once we accept, we find that peace. And anyhow, just another one of my little Saturday sharings with you. This book, like I say, this book has resonated a lot. I've even learned more mindfulness lessons for myself reading it, and it's taken me just to a deeper place of understanding about mindfulness and the desire to just really be striving constantly, daily, to live in the present moment, because that's the only place we live. Anyhow, hope you guys enjoyed this one today. If you like it, please give me a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. Peace.